Okay, Chair, we do have quorum. Uncle Des is on his way to log in, but we can get started.
We're ready to go. Transcribe into line.
Yes.
Let me close this. Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask the commissioners to refrain from using the chat feature on Zoom. All questions should be made publicly unless it's computer connectivity issue. Kule, would you mind starting us off with a pule?
Sure, hiki no. Ho'omalu kākou no ka pule a pule kākou. Auhea oi e ka hako mako ka mako alani. E no ke ia hui I ako pui ki a kakahiaka, ia mako e nana I nā ano hana, ma ke ia aina nei o Hawaiʻi kua uli. Ma ka ho'omaka ana o ke ia Cultural Resource Commission e ke akua me na kupuna na au mako o mako. He wahi noi ke ia oko e hele noho pume mako I ki a wā a kako e kuka wala au. Kau hapa I noho I mana o pili I na ano hana ma ke ia aina nei. Ala ka I mau ia mako. E no ku uwahi noi ia oko e noho pū. Ala ka I mau ia mako I ke ia hana a kako e awamo noho I ma ke ia commission. Mahalo no na kānaka I ka ko'o mai ia mako I ka lako ke ena a pela wale aku. Nui na ano hana kāko'o ia mako I kia manawa. No kia wā e hiki mai ana, a no ka wā I hala ke kahi. E no ku uwahi leo pule, me ke aloha piha, me ka mahalo no hoi, a mama ua no lele no hoi ke ia pule. Mahalo.
Mahalo, aloha kakahiaka.
Mahalo. Aloha makako. Good morning, everyone. The hybrid meeting of the Cultural Resource Commission will now come to order. Quorum has been established with, I'm sorry, Saf, is it 6 members?
Yes, we have 6.
With 6 members in attendance. Today is Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. It is currently 10:10 a.m. Pursuant to Act 220, Sessions Law of Hawaii 2021, which amended the Sunshine Law to allow meetings to be remotely conducted online effective January 1st, 2022, the Cultural Resource Commission will host a hybrid meeting of online and in-person participants. An in-person location has been identified on the agenda for the public to provide testimony on agenda items and to view the meeting. This meeting can also be viewed live online. A link to the YouTube live stream is provided on the county website. The video recording will remain on the YouTube channel for those who are not able to watch it live. Reports and surveys reviewed during the hearing are available on the county website. Commissioners, please be reminded that only one person may speak at a time. Raise your hand to be recognized if you have a question or a comment. Commissioners, please introduce yourselves and report if others are present in your location. I'll start. Matthew Clark, Chair. I am alone in my office.
Desmond Haumea, Vice Chair. I'm alone in our office.
Darty?
Darty Gamayo. I am alone at the Kappa studio.
Aloha mai kākou o wau ku'ulei kia kia leni a ohe kanaka ma ku'uhale. I'm ku'ulei kia kia leni, no one at home with me.
Janet?
Hi, I'm Janet. I'm in my home office. I'm by myself. Thank you. Just have a couple of dogs.
And I think Keokola. Kealoha.
Hello, good morning. Kealoha Kini, and I am in my office alone.
CRC staff support joining us today are Bethany Morrison, Planning Program Manager, Kim Tanaka, Planner, Ashley DeVera, Board Secretary, and Jean Campbell, Deputy Corporation Counsel. Pursuant to HRS 92.3, interested persons who want to provide oral testimony may do so either at the beginning of the meeting when the board takes public statements on the agenda or immediately before the specific agenda item is called. Staff, please indicate if there are any members of the public wishing to provide testimony online or in person.
Fair, we have no public testifiers.
No public testifiers?
No.
Thank you. Another opportunity will be provided at the beginning of each agenda item if anyone shows up. So that brings us to the new business of the commission. And the first item is section 106 review Pahe'e Stream Bridge reconstruction in Honolulu and Kohua'aupua'a Hilomoku, Hawaii Island. There are no one's here to provide testimony. I believe we have members of the project team who are going to present on this.
Aloha, Dennis Silva, WSP. So I'll share screen now. Just a moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Please proceed.
Can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So the Pahe'e Stream Bridge reconstruction project is in the Honolulu North Hilo District, Kuhua'ahupua'a, Hilomoku, Hawaii Island, and it's a Hawaii Department of Transportation project. Okay. The overview for this presentation is providing bridge information, project scope.
Dennis? Sorry, Dennis, we can see your presenter notes. I don't know if you have a different screen you want to share.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think you have to close out of the presentation, Dennis, and then go to the presenter mode, maybe.
Yeah, so that little screen at the top. What is it? The fourth icon. Oh. Yeah, you see the top left?
Slideshow.
Fourth icon. The top left. By your, yeah, right to your right of your arrow.
Oh, you went too far.
Oh.
Where's your kids?
You see the save button at your top left there? There's a little rectangle with the play button in there. That's your presenter screen.
Disappeared.
Oh, well.
You can also go to slideshow and press play slideshow at the top.
Slideshow.
From beginning, the one all the way to the left.
Still shows.
Well, that's still,
Still shows, but I have no notes actually, but it just shows the smaller screen.
Okay, okay, that's fine. As long as you don't have anything you don't want to see.
Yeah, I don't have any notes here.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, go ahead, Dennis. Thank you.
thank you. Sorry about that. Apologies. So the overview is a bridge information, project scope, area of potential effects, APE, historic, archaeological, and cultural resources in the project area, project outreach, and project designs and schedule estimates, and our contact information. The Pahehe Stream Bridge was built in 1911 and reconstructed in 1950. On August 15, 2009, the bridge was placed on the Hawaii Register of Historic Places, and the bridge is not on the National Register of Historic Places. The project scope includes implementing a new superstructure without permanent intermediate support with new steel plate girders, steel cross frames, concrete decks, and sidewalks, an inspection walkway access, and a lifeline system. And also adding new steel elastomeric bearings, manual for assessing safety hardware compliant bridge railings, drilled shafts, and a drilled shaft cap in front of certain existing abutments. The project scope continues, including removing existing steel threshold substructure while keeping existing concrete foundation footings and pedestals, installing temporary 2-lane bypass bridge with a travel way of 14 feet, relocating overhead power lines around the bridge, conducting soil investigation for potential lead contamination. The APE is shown here. It's approximately 4.23 acres, located primarily within the Hawaii Belt Road and Honolulu Road HDOT right-of-way. The potential construction staging area is located within a portion of a private parcel. The historic, archaeological, and cultural resources in the project area include we review the following sources for historic properties and cultural resources using the SHPE library documents, Hawaii Cultural Resource Information System, and the National Register of Historic Places and State Register of Historic Places. The Pahehe Stream Bridge is the only significant cultural resource identified within the project area. Historically significant as a registered steel trestle bridge and in association with the Hilo Railroad Company. HDOT anticipates a determination of effect with proposed mitigation commitments. Proposed mitigation commitments include historic American engineering record hair documentation of the Pahehe Stream Bridge. And the Section 106 public outreach with Native Hawaiian organizations and potential consulting parties are listed in the chart to the right. NHO letters were sent on October 8th and October 9th, and the news advertisement was published in the October 30th Hawaii Tribune Herald and West Hawaii Today publications. The construction schedule for this project is to initiate construction in summer 2027, and construction completion is summer 2029. And the project contacts for this for Pahehe Stream Bridge reconstruction is the HDOT project manager is Evan Kimoto. A WSP project manager is Randy Urasaki, and I'm the WSP environmental planner on this project with our team. That concludes our presentation. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Dennis. I'm sure commissioners probably have some questions. I'll I'll go first. I was just thinking it was originally built in 1911, the bridge, and then reconstructed in 1950. Was that to accommodate highway travel? Was it previously a railroad bridge?
Yes, it was like most of the bridges on the Hamakua coast, it was previously a railroad bridge and then to accommodate vehicular travel. Yeah. Yes.
And then is it listed individually in the bridge inventory, or is it part of the larger Mamalahoa highway?
It's listed individually. Yes, on the SHPE list. Yes.
And then I have you started consultation with SHPE, and have they asked for any sort of ground survey I know you guys went through the records, but has there been any new archaeological survey conducted at all within the AP?
Not at the moment. We are going through the Section 106 process now, so we haven't received or we haven't completed the effect determination letter yet. So we haven't received any determination letter from SHPE at the moment. Yeah, and we started the HRS 343 EA.
Oh, you're doing EA as well.
It's in EA, yeah.
Commissioners, any other questions? Go ahead, Janet.
I was just wondering if you did any kind of a look at OHA's Kipuka database to see about land commission awards or anything that might have been there, any maybe LCAs or things that might have been associated with it. Also, it's always interesting to look at Hawaiian language sources. If there's any chance, Malays, all that kind of things that will tell you about the place, also place names, just always going to hammer that home. So thank you very much, though. And
Thank you. Yeah.
Appreciate what you guys are doing.
Okay. Thank you for that information and comments. We'll do additional research at that OHA library and we'll include that in if anything, in the draft DA. Yeah, thank you.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Aloha, Dennis. This is Ku'ulei. Mahalo for your presentation. I was just wondering if any of the organizations that you folks reached out to, letters sent out in October, did anybody respond?
No one respond to date. So it's been just over a month. October 30th publication, and letters went out October 8th and 9th. So no response from any of the NHOs.
Mm-hmm. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Aloha, Dennis. This is Uncle Des Hamel.
Aloha.
Aloha. Is your dad, Dennis Silva, graduate of Hilo High School?
No.
Okay.
Born and raised on Oahu, Nanakuli and Kalihi.
Okay. You know, getting back to the NHOs, is it possible to get the information on who you contacted there, especially when there's no response? Especially I see the Kingdom and Alohaina. There's several organizations that I am involved with, especially with the Kingdom, especially with the Order of Kamehameha. I'm appointed emissary to Oceania, and I'm curious who you contacted because you should have received a response. So if you could share that with me.
Sure.
With the council through, contact the council, the commission.
Contact the council. Can I, is it possible to send that to Kim Tanaka and then she can forward it to you?
Yes.
Forward that information. Sure. Okay. Well, note that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I'm glad that you folks going to do the EA and you're still in the process of 106, so carry on. Holomoa. Mahalo.
Okay. Mahalo.
Are there any other questions? Otherwise, we could discuss our comments that we would like to provide on the project and talk about drafting a letter. Okay. So I guess to start, I mean, we will need to come up with a motion for this. But are there specific comments we'd like to include in the letter we present?
My mom now is they're involved in the EA and they're started on 106. So I don't know how to word But I like to make a motion to make sure that the motion is, the narratives are correct. What's included, the content, I should say.
Okay,
Thank you,
and
Mr. Chair.
yeah, I think we could make a motion something along the lines of we'd like to keep participating in the Section 106 process
Yeah,
as they move forward. And if there's any specific recommendations we have for them, we could I believe the CRC will draft a letter to this effect and send it.
Right.
So if there's any other specific recommendations we'd like to include in that.
no, it's on point.
Okay.
So that's my motion.
Okay, your motion is, oh, go ahead, Dr.
I
Singh.
just wanted to include that, make sure you look at place names and any Hawaiian language sources you can, as well as consulting the Oahu Puka database for land commission awards and potential malas.
Yeah, good point. I like to echo that because there's the new information are coming out from the new papers, of our Wakahiko. So there's a lot of information is actually changing the landscape of our Hawaiian culture. So some places a really good source to go to. There's several people that's involved with that. But thank you, Janet, for that.
Yeah, and I would just urge that you stay in contact with SHPD about the AP and potential archaeological survey.
Yeah.
And I think with these comments, the staff, you will just put them in the letter for us, and our motion can be, or Uncle Des, your motion could be, you could direct the staff to draft a letter summarizing the comments made during the meeting, and either present it to the commission for review or just have me sign it and send it.
Yeah, been there, done that. The staff is awesome. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think if there's no other comments that anyone would like to include, then we will make a motion that the staff be directed to prepare a letter summarizing the comments made during this meeting, and upon approval by the chair, transmit it to the appropriate recipients. Does that work for everybody?
I so move.
Okay, we have a second for that motion.
I guess I got a second then.
Okay.
You could be first with me though.
I'll go around and ask for agreement, or all in favor can say aye. Kealoha.
Aye.
Kule.
Aye.
Darde.
Aye.
And we got the other two. So I think the ayes have it. We'll draft a letter. Staff will incorporate the comments in that letter. I will sign it, and then we'll send it off to you folks, Dennis.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming and presenting. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Good job, Aloha.
Mahalo, Dennis. Awesome.
That brings us on to our second item of business, which is Section 106 review, Kole Kole Stream Bridge rehabilitation, location Wailea and Honomu, Kahua Aopoa'a Hilo Moku Vai Island. Are there any members of the public now present that would like to provide any testimony on this?
No public testimony, Chair.
Okay. And I believe there's project member teams here who are going to give a presentation. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm Matt.
Oh. Hi, we're getting a little feedback. I'm not sure if there's two audios on in the room, or. But you can go ahead with your presentation, but the audio is, for us, is right now, it's a lot of feedback.
Sounds like
Okay, I think we're going to try it now. How does that sound?
Much better, thank you. Please proceed.
I'm not going to turn. Okay, yeah, I'm back on here. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay. Let's see. Excuse me. Okay. Aloha, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to brief at the CRC meeting. I'm going to try to share my screen as well. See, let's see. How does that look to everybody? Does that show a single screen, or does that show the multiple screens?
I can't see your screen. Can anyone else?
Oh, hang on one second.
I can see Scott King looking good.
Okay.
There it is. Now we can see your screen.
All right. Do you see a single slide?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the Kolikoli Stream Bridge Rehabilitation Project description and briefing for you all. Again, my name is Scott King. I'm a representative of WSP, and WSP is the consultant team for both the design and the environmental work. And of course, I'll just be focusing on the environmental work and description for you. So this particular project does intersect 3 different ahupua'as, the Wailea, Kaiwiki Nui, and Honomu Kahua ahupua'as. And as you might expect, it is on the island of Hawaii on the Hamakua coast. And this is a Hawaii Department of Transportation project. So what we'll do here for you is give you an overview of the project, description of the bridge, and also a description of what we're going to be doing to the bridge, and that's included in the project scope. I want to give you an idea of what the area of potential effects is, so we'll show you a map of what the project area looks like. And then within the project area, I'll show you what we found in terms of historic, archaeological, and cultural resources in the project area right now in these initial stages. And then also give you a description of who we reached out to thus far in the 106 process, and also project contacts for questions if you have any. So the first thing I'll do is give you a description of the bridge. This is the Kolikoli Stream Bridge, and it was constructed in 1950. It's a classic steel trestle bridge associated with the sugar plantation industry, the Hilo Railroad Company, and the post-war Hawaii Belt Road District. And so as a result, it is a historic bridge. It is listed on the State Historic Register, and the State Inventory of Historic Places number is right there for you to see as well. So now that I've told you a little bit about the bridge, I'll tell you about what we're going to be doing to the bridge. And so the scope of effort here has to do with a bridge rehabilitation. It's not a reconstruction or a replacement. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you should expect to see in terms of modifications on this bridge or improvements on the bridge. So I'm going to go from the top to the bottom and give you a brief description. So improvements will include replacing heavily corroded members of the bridge and other structural aspects of the bridge, like truss members, bearings, gusset plates, rivets. Also repairing, steel girders, floor beams, steel bracing, a little bit more of the same, and of course cleaning and repainting the entire bridge. So that gives you an overview. Additionally, there may be the potential for scour work, and scour is a description of the erosion of soil underneath the bridge or around the foundations. And so if that's detected, there may be repair of that type of thing, which will be in the stream potentially, and that will mean in water work. And so if that's, of course, to take place, we'll follow all the regulatory requirements and permits associated with that. So the next couple bullets or describe similar things. So spalling and delamination and cracks and spalls in the abutments and piers. Those are a description of kind of like the concrete falling apart in certain areas. And so that's what we'll be paying attention to in terms of the concrete. And then furthermore, repairing deck joints and joint seals, and then widening the sidewalk and providing a new railing. Those two bullets are just further improvements to the bridge. And then finally, the last two bullets describe more interesting things than just structural improvements. So there will be an assessment of the soil beneath the bridge to see if there has been any lead contamination or other types of contamination over the history of the bridge to see if there's anything that needs to be cleaned up or remediated. And then finally, the project includes the removal of a temporary support structure, which is called an acro bridge. It's kind of like a bridge on top of a bridge. And I'm going to try to move back one slide to give you an idea of what that looks like. So if you can look at this bridge, on the very top of the bridge, you'll see what looks like a support structure. It almost looks like a railing. But if you've ever been to the Kolikoli Stream Bridge, you'll know that it's kind of an eyesore. It doesn't look quite right. And so that's actually kind of like a bridge on top of the bridge to support the structure. And so as part of the project, we'll be removing that, which should actually improve the look of the bridge and therefore improve the historic properties of the bridge in that regard. Are there any questions to the general scope of the project?
No, I think you're good to keep going. Well, Scott might be frozen. Did we lose you, Scott?
God, it looks like you're frozen. Are you still with us? Can you hear us?
Quick screenshot.
Are there other members from the project team that can hear us?
It looks like an AI image, yeah?
This is Randy Urasaki. I can hear you. I think he's frozen.
Okay, looks like hopefully he's gonna try to come back in here.
That was good timing for that. We're right on cue. We'll just wait for Scott to come back for a sec. Does anyone know, is Scott, I don't know if he lost power or something. Are we able to check in? Oh, it looks like Randall's checking in with him.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Get him back on. Okay, sorry, people. He thought he was still online and still presenting. He didn't know he got offline.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's gonna log back in and start
I
from where.
see him now. He looks like he's back.
Okay, yeah, he didn't know he was still going.
Okay. Scott, we got to where you asked if anyone had any questions, and then you froze and dropped off.
Oh, no. So I wonder, I'll go ahead and start it again, and then I wonder where we left off here.
You were on the slide showing the underneath of the bridge.
Yeah.
We'll recognize it when you get there.
I think it was the second. I think it was the second photo. Anyway.
Okay, I'm going to try to share my screen again. Okay, am I still with everybody?
Yes.
Okay, now can everybody see just the one slide?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, is this where I left off, or where I was cut off?
It was after this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was you'd gotten through this slide and asked if anyone had questions.
Ah, okay, perfect. Okay, well, we'll continue from here. So now that I've described what's included in the project, what we're going to be doing in the bridge, I will describe what the project area looks like. So where the bridge is and what the project area looks like around the bridge.
I think he froze again.
Everybody, can everybody hear me?
Yep, keep going.
Okay. Okay, so this area of potential effects is a map of the project area, and you can see that most of the area of potential effects focuses around the right-of-way. The whole project area encompasses about 7 acres, and it does include part of Kolikoli Gulch Park, which I haven't mentioned yet. And so additionally, most of the construction staging or material stockpiling is going to occur right next to the right-of-way in an area that's indicated by the green arrow towards the top of your screen. This is a previously disturbed area within the right-of-way. Okay, so now that I've showed you a map of the project area, I'll tell you a little bit about what we found in terms of historic, archaeological, and cultural resources within that project area. So to do this, we looked for documentation in a few go-to places. One place was the State Historic Preservation Division Library. Another place was the Hawaii Cultural Resources Information System, which is another database. And of course, the National Register of Historic Places and the State Register of Historic Places, which told us a little bit about the bridge, of course. So from these sources, we actually found a cultural impact assessment and multiple archaeological assessments of the Kolikoli Stream Bridge and the Kolikoli Gulch Park area, which encompasses the majority of the project area. And so interestingly, some of that work had Matt's name on it. So it was fun to see Matt's name on some of that work. And in terms of findings, so as a wrap up, the findings from those studies revealed that there are no archaeological sites either under the bridge or within Kolikoli Gulch Park. Are there any questions up to this point about any of that information?
This is Commissioner Six. I just want to say there's none left. There were probably sites there. but the idea is that there's nothing that's left there. And also, as High Chris is always a partial data set, that it's and I'm glad that there were surveys done in the area, but I just always want to say nothing's left.
Nothing's left. Yes,
Thank
that's an insightful point. Thank you for bringing that up. So similar to the last presentation, I'll show you who we've reached out to as part of the 106 process. And that includes Native Hawaiian organizations and other consulting parties like yourselves. So the chart is a description of all of those consulting parties. And I will tell you that towards the beginning of November, all of the Native Hawaiian organization letters were distributed. And towards the end of December, or towards the end of October, there was a publication in 2 newspapers, the Hawaii Tribune Herald and the West Hawaii Today. And that public notification, or that public advertisement, started a 30-day comment period. And we've elapsed that 30-day comment period to date, and have not received any comments yet from any parties, except for the CRC, who invited, of course, invited me to brief today. Finally, as a description of the project contacts, Evan Komodo is the HDOT project manager in charge of the project. And then, of course, myself, my contact information is there as a representative of WSP for the environmental portion of the project. I'm gonna close from this screen for the presentation and ask if there's any questions. But mahalo for allowing me to brief here.
Mahalo, Scott. Thanks for the presentation. And as you mentioned, yeah, I did work on an archaeological survey for when they were reopening the park after all the flood damage. And thank you for explaining. I always thought that the bridge was already under construction. I thought that's what that was when you drive across it, but it's just stabilizing it for now. This was what I understand from your description. I guess one question I have is was there already testing done for lead contamination under the bridge? And do you anticipate any, is there lead paint and other stuff that's gonna come down from the bridge when you're doing these repairs? And I'm just hoping it doesn't result in another shutdown of Kolekole Park, because I know the community really missed that when it was shut down.
Yeah, so in terms of documentation, I wasn't able to pinpoint anything to find definitively that there was lead testing underneath the bridge. However, there's a portion of Kolekole Gulch Park that's already kind of fenced off, and the signage indicates that there's lead contamination in a certain area. So this makes me think that there was certainly sampling at some point to kind of identify that contaminant and then corral it, to some degree. Now, again, I couldn't find the historical documentation that revealed exactly what happened there. But that answers the question, at least to my knowledge, of current what's currently in place down below the bridge. So this project includes further sampling to see if, I guess, kind of like as another starting point to evaluate contamination. And then after that initial sampling is done, there'll be a decision to see kind of what the next steps are, where to go next with that.
Okay. And with the repairs to the bridge, that this is, it's all kind of replacing what's there in kind, and no, there's not gonna be any structural or major changes to the bridge. It's just making it safer to drive across. Is that correct?
Essentially, yes. Yeah, exactly. And in fact, as I mentioned, the removal of that temporary bridge structure should improve the look of the bridge. It should restore some of those historic qualities.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for Scott or the team?
Hey, I have a question. So, Scott King, so in your project, once it's all said and done, will there be any process to see if the environment was impacted any from some of your scaling and all of those rehabilitation of the bridge? In other words, I'm fearful of the stream being contaminated with some of the opala that comes off of this project?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I can tell you for sure that there will be sampling analysis done prior to the work. During the work, there will be measures taken to kind of capture everything that potentially could fall off the bridge and that type of thing. But I have to defer the question about sampling or analysis post-bridge, or post, I guess the rehabilitation project. I'd like to ask Randy to see if that sampling plan included an evaluation of that after the rehabilitation efforts. I'm not sure at this time. Randy, did you have any comments on that, or do you know for sure?
No, at this time, I don't know what the requirements will be. We will be going to DOH for whatever we find when we do our sampling. We're sampling the soil as well as some of the paint chips, if there's still paint chips on the bridge, just to make sure that all the lead was already taken off. And then that'll be reported to DOH, and then there'll be mitigation measures if there's contaminants found. And I suspect we're also going to have to remove the area that's already been, seems like to get the park open, they moved all the contaminated soil into one area. And I think that would be taken out with this project as well.
So in other words, there's not part of your project to follow up post rehabilitation.
Right now, it's not, but we have not entered into discussions with DOH yet because we don't know what the issues are or the contaminants are. But they put on restrictions as well after, mitigation measures or things that we have to do, and we haven't gotten to that point yet.
I see. And you said that the removal of the lead, when you push it to the side, you folks are going to remove that to make the park even more safe.
I cannot speak for DOT, but I think that area was contaminated from the lead from the bridge, and they moved it into that area to get the park open.
See, east side is rain, we've known for having rain, so a lot of that lead leaching into the stream and, the area where our children go and play. And
Understood.
it's a concern of mine that, that as part of this project, somehow work it out that you can have that removed.
Yes, that's the plan. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, what happens in a post rehab, if you're finding lead contaminants in our stream and stuff, we won't really know if it's from there or from the rehab project. Yeah. So that was my only question. Just it's been known that after the project is done, wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and we'll never see them again.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that is followed, and not only for this project, but I think for future projects.
Sure. Understood.
Yeah, thank you. Mahalo.
I might add also, Uncle Des, that I think this beginning part of the assessment is connected to the end. So in other words, this initial sampling that's required will determine the next steps. And so let's say, for instance, if there is lead contamination, a contaminated area that is discovered, well, then the next steps follow on to determine how to address that. And it's likely that will be addressed after the rehabilitation effort, because it's not likely that they'll happen simultaneously. So I'm trying to describe that to ease your concern a little bit, to try to communicate that although a specific evaluation of the soil after the rehabilitation project isn't planned right this second, I think we have to conduct the initial sampling first to decide what those follow-on steps are going to be. And I would, to make sure your concern is, I guess, quantified or documented, that would be a good note to put in the letter. I'm sure you were thinking that already, but those are all prudent, practical things that you brought up. So thank you.
Yeah, it's also to protect your project. You don't want to be cleaning up somebody else's mess.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I got it. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Randall.
I got a question. So when you guys are doing the rehab of the bridge, what are you guys gonna do? Just one-way traffic? How is that gonna affect the traffic flow? Are you guys gonna put up a light and it's gonna be one way, or?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll defer to Randy on that question as well.
I think we may have a lot of different traffic schemes. One would be partial closures, contraflow basically on the bridge. There may be a time when we do have to put a traffic signal and have one lane open only 24 hours. We're not that far ahead yet in the design or the environmental. We're just kind of at the beginning. So, but there's only that way around. So we were trying to make sure we can keep at least the lane open.
Okay. I mean, I frequent Hamakua. I live in Honoka'a, work in Hilo, so gotta factor that into the traffic and the drive, and just wondering what the impact is gonna be. I mean, it has to be done, but because the other bridge, the other alternate route, the bridge is closed down, yeah, at the bottom when you get in there, the old bridge. Yeah, so there's no alternate route around that one. Thank you.
I just want to follow up on that. Thank you for that. I was just looking at my notes here. It seems like Hamakua is going to be really impacted by a lot of rehab and reconstruction, and with the turnout roundabout in Hilo, and I mean, so traffic is going to, I think, it look like in a year's time, if definitely in 2 years, DART is going to take 3 hours to get to Hilo. So it's I just noticed that, like, did a lot of work on Hamakua, but
Yeah.
I
mean, we're used to it. It is what it is. But maybe I need to go get my pilot's license. Nah, I don't think so.
This reminds me of Kalanianaole Avenue into Kyokaha, or Nimitz and Dillingham. Okay, mahalo. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments?
Yes, I got a couple, and maybe one is for you, Matt, for further clarification. And so an archaeological site, would it be perhaps deemed as something that the Kanaka built? So like a stone wall, an enclosure, because I guess my reasoning is that, because I know, and it's not just this project, but others, right, where they're going to say no archaeological sites are found. My mind is thinking the stream itself is an archaeological site. A forest, the coastline, the landscape in general, where we know our kupuna moved, lived, their livelihoods. So would or could a stream and a forest and a coastline be deemed an archaeological site, or does it have to be a well-defined stone wall? I keep envisioning like this stone wall or remnants of a stone wall. Only that or things of that nature would be deemed an archaeological site. And so that's where my mind is going, is the stream itself as an archaeological site. Then the movement of water, and I think we've voiced this because we've had several, maybe a few other bridge projects come, right, and then we've always looked at the movement of the vai, the water that comes through. Uncle Des is talking about Hamakua, Hilo, we know Uanui, plenty rain in that areas of this mokupuni. But then my mind also goes to the kai, the movement of the vai through the streams into the kai, and all of the fish and all of the other the themselves that eat of things that might be contaminated. So you can see how my mind is just boom, kind of going the ripple effect. And if there is lead contamination, the water from the stream moves it into the ocean, the fish eat it, we eat the fish. Away, right? Away all the way around. So kind of when we look at that APE, that potential effect, sure, it might be defined by this line and traverse a few ahupua'a, but when we're dealing with kahawai and streams that are directly connected to kai, my mind does not see within the confines of this area that's put on a map to say that this is the potential area of effect. It is much larger than that. It goes, who knows, right? Where the kai and the vai is the stretches and reaches of that. To me is also the impact area. So again, not just of this potential project, but all of the bridges that got to traverse over and through these avava, the valleys and the gulches and whatnot. So that concern for me would blanket all bridge projects that do traverse over kahawai, our stream, the waterways. And so yeah, I guess that's more just a comment. And I would again like to have that comment be applied to all, perhaps, of the bridge projects that do come to the CRC. Because I think this is my last meeting. But with that, I may potentially be on for a little while the position is
Filled.
Yes. So just wanna make that note.
Yeah.
Let the comment kind of on and amawaku, mawaku. But
yeah. Mahalo. Mahalo kole. I want to add to that. This kona ike, yeah, ancestrally, I va'a. And because of our voyaging knowledge now today, which dates thousands of years ago, know this, whenever they came from south, they always went close to east. And a lot of the va'a first landed on all the east coast of the islands. And whenever they're going by, but like when they there's strong mo'olelo about when they pass the north shore of Molokai, whenever they see one kipuka, see the vai, they land and they do research. So like to echo what Janet said, yeah, it's gone. Yeah, through the years because it was never cared for properly. The stewardship was lost of our culture and our ancestral beginnings. And so when you're finding remnants of little things, and Kole made a good point, just because you don't see one stack of rock, that doesn't mean nobody lived there. Because during the season, as we know with our 2 seasons, we'll go Mauka, and then we'll come back to the Kai, depending on the weather and the conditions and the moon and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that factors into these precious areas, especially located where the vai is and the kipuka because of the abundance of food and housing material. And it's something to take note, especially for those that are attending this, especially that's in charge of changing the landscape of Aina. That we be mindful. And it reminds me, and Matt knows this, at Mauna Kea, speaking to these archaeologists, they were from New Mexico. I asked them, how far down? We didn't find anything kupuna. How far down did you go? They said 3 to 4 feet. And as we know, Tutu takes care of our honua. And she'll make changes without us knowing, only to find out later that, you should have listened to Tutu. But I want to, Kule, and then, yeah, even if you step off, we're going to step in. Kule, to come attend today. But yeah, so, and ancestrally, we have to really go way back just to know that, like what Janet said, yeah, it's there. It's there because it was there before. It's something for the Department of just our state agencies to realize that, especially SHPD. Okay. Don't get me started.
And then I'll jump in after.
Oh, Janet. Okay, Janet, you have 1 minute.
Okay, so I'm so happy to hear everybody talk about this, because what Kule is talking about is indirect effect, right? You have area of potential effect, and you have things that are indirect effects, right? That's the technical term. And so having lead contaminants, I was thinking the same thing, going into the ocean, into the stream where people may hunt or gather, whatever. The other thing is, as far as archaeology, we consider that man's extrasomatic means of adaptation, something that's human modified. So it's the whole island. The whole island's an artifact, actually, when you break it down. Canoe plants were introduced, like Uncle Des said, building materials, Those are eco-facts. So but we do tend to do the more tangible, the quantifiable mapping of the rock wall and different things. But whenever I see a landscape, I have a vivid imagination. I see what was there, what was likely there. Like Uncle Des said, canoes pulling and ba'as pulling in and all this interaction. So I just wanted to say that, and that's all I got. But I'm really happy to hear that, because I think it's important to understand the connectivity of Mauka to Makai, and to take a look at those indirect effects, like taking off the lead paint. If nobody wants contaminants, but people diving, gathering, and limu, anything, you want to make sure that that's dealt with. Thank you. Those are my comments. Mahalo.
Yeah, and I'll just jump into and Kule that typically with archaeological sites, we're looking at tangible evidence of the past, things we can document, submit to SHPD, get site numbers for. But we certainly acknowledge that this place is, I mean, it has a long history of use, as Uncle Des was saying. People on canoes would land there, live there, set up their villages. As Janet mentioned, they're not there anymore. The park was built there after the 1960 tsunami. It is a potential historic property. And it also depends on the place. You're not going to have a park if it's not next to the ocean, next to the river. And so all of these things are dependent upon that space and the resources and the beauty and the context of it. And typically, there was also for the park rehabilitation, a CIA prepared by Lokelani Brandt that did look at the river and the connections in the past and made recommendations based on that. And I'm not sure, Scott, are you guys doing an EA or any sort of environmental assessment for this?
Yes, an EA is included as part of this project too.
So there should be stream and all those sorts of studies going on, biological, botanical. It's certainly not a perfect process, and I think it can be approved, but that's oftentimes these valleys or rivers, they could be traditional cultural properties, or the Kapakai is supposed to address it. And I do think there's a lot of room for improvement in how all of that is done. Anyone else want to jump in on this?
Yeah, Matt, I just had a quick comment, just to going along this line of lead contamination and cultural uses of the spaces. In the Hakalau area, they also had a lead contamination in those places, and some of the plants there actually took up the lead into their leaves, into their stems. So like I'm thinking of ho'io, or watabi, whatever you want to call. People go and they know these places because get plenty of water and get plenty of these kind of resources, and they'll go and they collect, and they've been doing that for generations. Yeah. And some of those kinds of things also exist in Kolekole as well. And so it's, this is, it's an environmental assessment kind of situation, but it also kind of blends into the cultural side and the cultural uses of the plants and animals that and fish that are from those areas. That is, I feel like, is a continuum, right? So the landscape has changed, the archaeology or these structures have changed, but the cultural traditions continue, right? Despite that, the collection, the gathering, and so it is a huge concern, and I hope that you guys will really look into that. So I just wanted to add that little piece there.
Mahalo. Any other discussion on this? Any questions or, oh, go ahead, Jenna.
I was just clapping. I'm just clapping.
Clapping, I get it now. I thought it was a raised hand.
I have something for Scott and for you know, I just I appreciate your presentations and the work you've been doing, but just know that that's not only for you folks, but for our future generations, yeah. And to protect not only your business, but also to protect your family, because I'm sure you're gonna take your family there one day and, hey, I did this. You know, so it protects those that is not with us yet. And especially on those that have gone before us. So yeah. That's it.
Thank you, Uncle Des.
I guess could I just add one more thing, Matt?
Please.
It just I guess I said all that stuff, but I didn't really give any recommendation. But if there was a recommendation, it would be to try to reach out to the gatherers of these spaces, the fishermen, the people gathering the hu'io or other kinds of things. Sometimes they go down there for opai. Sometimes they go down there for the oholohole, right in the river, underneath the bridge. The guys touring it. Talk story with them, you know, find out what they do, why they, you know, how often they come, those kinds of things, and how they might be impacted by this project. And I'm not sure if I saw that completely in the presentation, but I just wanted to make that recommendation.
Mahalo. I think similar to the one we just did, we can make a motion to prepare a letter that includes the comments that we've shared here today, and the staff will collect those, and then we can either bring it back to the commission for review before sending, or I can sign it, review it and sign it on our behalf and send it. So
I move that we create that letter.
okay, you move that we create that we draft a letter. Sorry, I'm gonna rephrase it just a little bit. We request the staff to generate a letter with comments provided in the meeting and distribute to appropriate parties without review of the draft. So then it would be the letter summarizing the comments made during this meeting, and upon approval by the chair, transmit to the appropriate recipients.
Yes, that's what I move.
I'll second that.
You have a second on that.
I'll second that and ask him to cut and paste that, what you just said.
Thank you. Yeah, they provide me with some of this language, so it helps. And I butchered it.
But I just wanted to echo with what Kenny just said, because I have family from Pauilo. They love to make pohole salad, yeah, warabi, and they do go down there. And it's an interesting fact, and I should know that it does leach into the plants, which is also our medicine and stuff. So, good point.
Yeah, and you know, in Hakalau, I don't think there's any signs warning about it. And I know that there's lots there. Kole, I'm not sure about, but yeah, good point. Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I'll just go roll call. Kule.
Aye.
Kealoha.
Aye.
Uncle Des, or you?
Aye.
And then Janet.
Aye.
And I'm aye, and Darde made the motion, so it passes unanimously. Scott, we will draft a letter and send it out to you guys with our comments.
And mahalo again. I learned so much. I love these CRC meetings. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for presenting. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Mahalo.
Aloha.
Aloha. I'm getting hungry.
Okay, that brings us on to our third item of business, new business for the commission, which is the Ainiko subdivision housing project consultation request. And this is in the Aupua of Punahoa 2nd and Pihonua in South Hilo District, Island of Hawaii. No members of the public here to provide any testimony, staff?
We have no members of the public, Chair.
Okay, and I need to disclose that I did work on this project as part of the archaeological field work, and I believe I would need to recuse myself from this discussion. So I think Uncle Des, I'm going to turn this over to you. I will continue monitoring on YouTube and then jump back in afterwards, if that's appropriate.
Matt, can I ask you, what year did you do the work?
We
Roughly?
participated, Ben Barna, who I think is here to present, he did the work for Stantec.
Okay.
He provided field staff. So I think it was, I want to say it was about 2 years ago
Okay,
at
cool.
this point,
Thank you.
but my
Thank you.
memory is a little foggy. Yeah. Is Jean, is that appropriate how I handled it? Okay.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. I'm going to jump off and hand it over to Uncle Des, and I will come back in the meeting after this item's finished. Mahalo.
Yeah, mahalo, Matt. Moving on with the agenda, item 3, Ainako Subdivision Housing Project Consultation Request, parent PL CRC 2025-000022, location Ahupoa of Punahou 2 and Pi'i Honua, South Hilo District, Island of Hawaii. PMK parent 3, 2-3-030:001. 004 and 23031:001. I want to ask if any members of the public wish to provide testimony at this time. None present in our at our office, and I believe we have project team members Ben Barna, Santec and Bailey, OHCD, and Neil Erickson. If they're present, you can go ahead and proceed. I have some sample motions. I guess, let me read this. Request for staff to draft a letter with comments provided in the meeting for review at a subsequent meeting. I move that staff be directed to draft a letter. Oh, this is later on, right? Yeah, okay. So if there's any project team members available, you can begin your presentation.
Oh, thank you, commissioners, and I'm Ben Barna. I'm the lead archaeologist consultant to the county on this project. As Uncle Des mentioned, I work for a company called Stantec, but before that, I worked for Matt at ASM Affiliates, and that's actually how we kind of got started on this project. It was brought to us way back in 2022, and started investigating this property. We're still waiting to get our slides up on the screen, but I'm here with Neil Erickson from OHCD at the county. So I can sort of tap dance while we start.
1 second.
In essence, so the project, which I'll show some pictures of, involves a development for workforce housing on a parcel that the county owns up in the Ainako neighborhood here in town. The parcel's about 60.5 acres. The development would use 38 to 40 acres of that. It's being designed to fit well with the landscape and some other features that I'll show you there. There, good, go. Okay. And yeah, okay, great. So here's my fancy opening slide showing a historic map of the area. Okay, and that's me. We already covered all that. And so I'm gonna try to blow through in less than half an hour project background and prior work, current work, everything else on that list there. So just real quick again, here's the same thing I said, but that's got a little map showing where it is. And I've got a better map to show you. But basically, if you're not familiar with the area, it's kind of across Kaiser and the hospital on the Puna side of the big open space right over there. To the south, you've got Ainako Street wrapping around Talahi Street and the Ainako Terrace subdivision. And there we go. And here's it in its larger sort of context within Punahou Second Ahupua'a, which again was, the county has that one parcel, but most of this Ahupua'a has been kind of divided up over the years. So I'll go into a little bit of that history there. The proposed, the plan that the county's looking at, and we're in the very early stages of this, or the county is, I'm just doing the archaeology. They're still in the very early stages of planning for this. So for example, like they haven't done a topographic survey yet, geotech or anything like that. This is sort of considered kind of a conceptual design that we're working through early to do consultation, doing an environmental assessment on this early concept here to see what those impacts would be. And so the work I did using ASM's field crew was part of that effort to look at impacts of this conceptual design on historic properties. And as well, I've done cultural impact assessment that went into the environmental assessment. That environmental assessment has gone through the draft version, and we received public comments, and Stantec is working on preparing the final EA for that. But before we did that, we wanted to make sure that, for example, we talked to the CRC and got short mana'o about the project and its impacts and the work that we've done as part of that. Here's an aerial photograph of the project area. And for the purposes of our analysis and for the eventual 6E8 review of this, we have used a larger project area than just the development. If I could flip back real quick. This is that, that funky little shape there is defined mainly by the parcel boundary on the north side, and then some topographic features like there's a pu'u on the Makai end of the parcel and a stream that runs along the Puna side of it. But we looked at the entire county-owned parcel, which is that, the main part of that, and then a corridor for a road that's would access Waianui. And we went, wider than what the construction guys told, or the designers told us the road would need, just to make sure that there's some wiggle room and we don't miss anything. As I got started, just real quick, I'll kind of run through what we did, or what I did for the work before we sent people out in the field. The first thing we did was look at the older reports and the HICRIS database. And what you can see in this picture is we knew going into this project that there was a previously recorded archaeological site. And I'll go into a little bit about where that came from. And then that's that nice yellow circle kind of covering most of our project area. And there's some other sites that were found elsewhere, kind of up in the neighborhood, but a lot of the archaeology that's happened up there happened after these housing subdivisions went in. There is on the very south side, you can see this large blob labeled AF-2, which was identified back in like the 90s or 2000s in a reconnaissance survey. And it has very similar features to what we found on the ground there, which at the time, in their very brief write-up, that reconnaissance survey talks about rock mounds, generally agricultural type features. But to my knowledge, no actual inventory survey has been done in that part yet. I talked to CSH, who had done a work plan for that, and they never went forward with the actual work for that. But it does kind of present, here's the general picture of what we know about the area at the time. Okay, this, I hope you can see that okay. This is that 1978 archaeology reconnaissance survey by Aki Shinoto and Eric Komori. It was done as part of sort of a backfilling of a gap in an environmental assessment that was prepared in 1976 for a plan that the county was entertaining about putting a wilderness park on the county-owned and the state-owned parcels up where our project area is. They walked around for about a day and kind of waded through this like really, really nasty uluhe. So there's some areas in that map that are like labeled, heavy vegetation, and it was so bad they couldn't even walk into there. But they did find these 6 clusters of archaeological features, and those wound up getting wrapped into that site that's in HICRIS. And the footprint in Hikris doesn't really match what they found, and it doesn't really match what we found either. So this is a chance, this project is nice in that we're updating the actual knowledge of what's on the ground there. Generally, what they wrote in their report is very brief. It just says, there are rock walls, there are rock mounds, and they are, quote, of an Aboriginal character, because it's the late 70s and people still talk that way. But didn't really offer much to say other than, there's archaeology features up here. So try to include that in your plans for this wilderness park thing. The wilderness park never happened. And this all just kind of lay dormant for a long time. In fact, that's kind of the recent history of this parcel, is lying dormant and people not really doing anything with it. And there's a story behind that, which if I've got time, I'll get into. But I want to focus on the archaeology and the cultural work that we've done. So if I start rambling on that, just somebody, Neil, you can elbow me and get me back on track. Part of our background research that I did was to look at models and updates for where people were prior to the 1800s or so. And a really nice model that I found is in a study that was done by Sam Ohugon and some of his colleagues. And they created this really interesting model of the Aina Momona, which is all the pink areas in there. And so this is his representation of where people were really, intensively growing food in that nice sweet land. And what's odd and interesting to me is that when you zoom into the model, which is hard to do in this picture, but right at the tip of that big white arrow is our project area. And there's this weird little gap in the pink Aina Momona area. And so I talked to a few people about that at the university, some biogeographers and other people like that, and saying, like, why would this be a bad place? And they kind of threw some ideas out about not really great soil, it's kind of wet. But unfortunately, this doesn't really help us much because it's just a model. And so one idea going into this study is, okay, maybe this isn't like a really intensive field system, but people could still be up here. And we know that they were. Another thing that we looked at were place names. So we spoke with Noah Gomes over at Shifty, and this grew out of the county's efforts to get street names. So we talked to Larry Kimura, Noah Gomes, and discussed, what are the names of places? Because as Uncle Des mentioned earlier, I think it was Uncle Des, knowledge and stuff gets lost. And so in this particular area, we've got a really heavy overlay of new names on places that I have been able to kind of pick apart in the report and say, like, well, this is where this name came from. But what it looks like to me is the general area, might be called Kalama. This is Noah Gomes's idea. The general area, these sort of foothill areas, is Kalama, is this big space here. The Aina Coast Stream, that name starts being used in the 1950s. And before that, people refer to Molokioi Stream or Molokioi Stream. And it appears to have come down kind of through the bottom of our project area and then headed out toward, I think, Pu'uhonu is where it comes out. And then continues down into Alanaio. It shows up on a couple of old Boundary Commission reports or testimonies. And so one thing that Noah and I were talking about is, maybe the Aina Coast Stream that, takes a hard northern turn up toward the Wailuku, that might actually be artificial and may have been part of the large Hawaiʻi system that was put in Pi'ihonu and Punahou, starting with the E ditch back in like the 1300s and later. We'll get into that more. So one thing that we've been able to do is reconstruct some of these older place names for these areas. And for example, in our project area, there's a pu'u. Right now, if you look at a map, it's called Kupapa'u Hill, which is totally scary for an archaeologist to see a place called Kupapa'u Hill in the middle of your project area. But looking back, this is the map from the Land Commission Award in 1853, prepared for the American Board of Commissioners for Foreign Missionaries. And during their survey, they used as one of their trig stations to figure out where they are, a large rock on Pu'u Mohihi. And so it looks like we've got an older name for this Pu'u in the area, Pu'u Mohihi. And I'm going to skip a few slides now to run through some maps that don't have any name for the Pu'u on it. Here's one in 1895 where that name is still used. But then we get to this map, which tells a lot of the story of the area that will lead into kind of shaping my thinking for what we found in the archaeology. In the late 1890s, Hilo was converting its water system from open ditches fed by springs and streams to closed pipes fed by surface streams. In Pi'ihonua, kind of at the Makai end of our project area, there's a spring that got tapped first because the government owned it at the time. They tapped it, they ran a pipe down to the reservoir over by where Carvalho Park is now, and that fed down into the town's water system. But the county wanted more water, so they approached the Hawaiʻi Evangelical Association, who is what the ABCFM renamed themselves, and said, hey, we'd like to use your spring. Can we get 22.8 acres of your land? And that's, let me jump over here. So that's that heavy outline that you see coming through the project area. This sparked like a major war between the HEA and the county over that land. There was a condemnation hearing. The county got caught stealing water out of the spring. It's pretty wild. They got hit with a bill that's like, thousands and thousands of dollars in today's value. But in the end, they went to court, did a condemnation hearing, and somehow came out not with 22.8 acres, but the county wound up with 60.5 acres, which is most of our project area here. Their original intention was to create a water reservation, which was to, keep the springs from getting contaminated. So they get the land and they get the water and they integrate it into the water reservation. And what's interesting is at this time, this is 1916, there are people farming things on the land. This is going to be impossible for you to read, but it's a newspaper clipping that reports the outcome of the condemnation hearing. And the highlighted parts on the left says that even though during this entire war between the HEA and the county, they've been saying, oh, this land is useless, it's just the water, it's totally worthless. They say, oh, oops, by the way, these are fine cane lands and are bearing crops, and it's worth considering, and it's worth considerably more than the price received. And then on the right-hand side is one of the stipulations of the settlement that they reached, in which it says that even though the county takes possession of it in 1916, when those crops growing on the land are ripe and ready, they've got to let the old tenants back on. Do I know who the old tenants are? No, I wish I did. I'm not sure. All I know is that even as far back as the Mahele hearings and the Land Commission hearings, all I know is that the ABCFM guys in the church were saying things like, there are some Kanakas on the land, there are some people who aren't, and some of them are leasing, some of them are just living there. And they don't say where, they don't say who. There's another version of that map. Let me go back. So a couple points here. This map that you can see also, there are like 15 lots dividing up the project area. They're all numbered. And so what this tells me, this map is from 1901, is that at some point in the 19th century, there are these lots, are these old mala or kihapai that the native tenants were living on? Possibly, but none of these get claimed during the Land Commission Award hearings. It could be that the ABCFM, the missionaries, just weren't letting anybody claim them. It could be that by the time the 1853 rolls around. Nobody's using them other than whoever the ABCFM is leasing to. So there's this big gap, I think, in our knowledge now of who is up there and when and for how long. But what we do know is that at the turn of the century, there's 15 lots on our parcel. And these are the ones where, at least on some of them, sugarcane is being grown. Small kind of sugarcane, where they grow it and then they sell it to the Hilo Sugar Company, or they sell it to the ABCFM, which sells it to the Hilo Sugar Company. It's not like big giant fields, but little patchy ones. So I can skip this one. This is basically just a copy of that other map. And then this is the picture of the land in 1934. This is a map by the Hilo Sugar Company. And what you see in it is this Hilo water supply reservation. The project area takes up about half of it. And all around in those little dotted line areas are like the little tiny sugarcane fields that are in Punahou 2nd and Punahou 1st. Again, just small little patches where you could grow it. This is really similar to what we saw at the old hospital while I was still at ASM. There were little patches of sugarcane being grown and sold. So this is agricultural land in our project area, not necessarily great agricultural land, but we know that people were farming, and we know that they were farming in the late 19th century, early 20th century, and almost certainly before. And so when we did the archaeology survey, I went out there and borrowed Matt's archaeology crew for about 3 weeks, and they mapped and recorded archaeological features all over the property. There's 212 individual features that we could find. The problem is a lot of this area is really overgrown. So there are a few stands of a whole bunch of guava trees that had fallen over. But by and large, this is what we found. So all the little black dots are rock mounds. You can see black rock walls. So everything in black here is related to one site, which is the one that Aki Shinoto had recorded on his reconnaissance. Another thing that we found that was important and that we're calling significant is the Hilo boarding school ditch property, which comes down on the Mauka side, comes in through, it used to come in through Ainako Terrace subdivision, but it kind of got bulldozed when they built that back in the 70s. But it comes through the northwest corner of the parcel. There's a little stretch of it. If I don't run out of time, I'll show you pictures. That is hand dug, and then it dumps into the stream, continues down along the stream and out of the project area, and eventually, further down and goes to the boarding school. There's a site that we called Site T1 up in the northeast corner. So Makai side on the right-hand side of the picture, there's like a little blue line, and that is the spring that the big kerfuffle was about back in 1916. And there's a concrete foundation for the old spring house that was built over the spring to protect it, which I believe was done after the county took possession of it. And we found the bits of the water pipe eroding out of the soil as well that connected it down to the reservoir at Carvalho Park. I should point out that this spring doesn't feed the water system anymore. In the 1970s, the water system was switched over to the wells that we use today. And this apparently was all cut off from that. And the spring house is no longer there. And I can't tell if water's even going to the pipe or not. The last thing we found, I've got labeled T2. It's on top of the Pu'u, and it's the survey trig station that I think was used after the county took possession of the parcel and was probably used to do the layout for the subdivisions that are around it. And it's got a little bit of a history as well. So real brief, here's the Hilo boarding school ditch. I'm just going to throw some pictures up here real fast. It's hard to see. On the left-hand side is the hand dug part. You're looking down with your back to the Ainako Terrace subdivision, looking down toward the stream. And then once you get into the stream, in a few spots, there are these sort of rock retaining walls or riprap built onto the side of the stream to keep it from eroding away. In our preliminary evaluations of significance for this, we concurred with the previous findings for the Hilo boarding school ditch of being significant. I consulted with Kaveni Ibarra at OHA and said, hey, look, I can tie this also to the Konohiki of Punahoa II, who, according to testimonies that were taken back in 1916, Aki, who was living in 1813, was the guy who had the ditch dug to tie in Punahoa II into this larger ditch system in this part of Hilo. And because of that, what do you think we call this an E-site? And OHA thought that was a good idea to expand the significance of the Hilo boarding school ditch property to E for its connection to this traditional Hawaiian irrigation system. And to kind of stick it to Joseph Goodrich and the church for claiming, saying they did all the work. Okay, so the large site is the one that Akishinoto recorded, and this is the large agricultural site that is pretty complex. It's got several different types of features in there. Primarily, there are mounds. So that really tall bar in this scientific-looking graph here is rock mounds. Almost all of them, I think, are agricultural in use. There's over almost 100, what number is that? 20. So almost 120 of these individually out there. There's some rock mounds that are better constructed than others. I've got a few pictures to show you. There's some terraces that are built, which may have also been used for either retaining soil for agriculture or just to keep water from rushing down everywhere. We've got all the rock walls that I'll talk about in a bit. And then 4 habitation type sites that I think are these. They're probably just either houses where tenants were living when they would go up and farm, or they're places where tenants were living full time. There's not a lot of surface artifacts to really give a good sense of that, but we've got some ideas about when these were being occupied based on what we found. All right, so here's some examples of the rock mounds. Like I said, they range from kind of just piles of rocks to some really well-constructed ones with nice stacked sides and tops, really nice and sturdy, kind of reminiscent of what you find in sugarcane fields, but by and large, they're all over the place in terms of size and shape and structure. Here's a couple like really, really nice looking ones. But the other thing to note is that almost all of these have at least one tree growing out of them. All of the overgrown vegetation in here is really playing havoc on these features as well. So a lot of these rock mounds are being torn apart by roots. It's autograph trees, guava, and large albizia roots are pushing things around. And so here's that map again of all the features that we found, just to sort of put that back into perspective. So all those black dots are mounds like you saw. And here's a couple of plan view drawings. This is up in the sort of northwest, so the Mauka and north side of the parcel. There's this nice cluster of these mounds that we're considering as a good example to preserve as part of the project design, because they would be pretty useful to have like a little mini park kind of thing up there where you could do interpretation and say, hey, people used to farm up here. This is what it looked like. Habitation sites, I mentioned there were 4 of them. This is the most interesting and largest one. This is sort of near the foot of the pu'u, kind of in the center of the parcel. You can see down on that little tiny inset map where that yellow square is. It's got 3 kind of tiers built out of rock wall foundation. It's got these a couple of roundish platform looking things here, which when I look at that, it kind of reminds me of a good place to stick a water catchment tank. We haven't done any test excavations in here yet because just not knowing what we're not far enough along in the design process to really, want to start messing with things. So there's one good artifact that we found, which is a historic period bottle. But this is one other candidate for preservation that we've been talking about in the design process, because it's really easy to see what it is, and it really represents the habitation that would have been up here. There's a large mound kind of next to it as well. I'm going to skip over that because we're running out of time. Here's another example of a habitation feature or group of features that we found. Not as pretty as the other one, but this one, kind of looks like this in the flesh. There's foundations and some features, but again, not a whole lot of artifactual evidence lying around, other than bottles and other ceramics that come from the late 19th, early 20th century. There's this fire ring that we found there with some old bottles in it. Not sure if that fire ring is recent or not, but it's in that cluster of this habitation site. What's interesting too about that one, it's located really close to a building on one of these historic maps. So we might be able to say something more about who that was if we can ever figure out who had that building. All right, I got 10 more minutes. Sorry. Okay, rock walls. The rock walls all line up pretty well with those mapped parcel boundaries. So kind of suggests to me that those rock walls could have been, even if they're on old mala or kihapai that people had before, it kind of looks like somebody from New England saying like, oh, you got a lot? Well, we should put a rock wall around it, because that's what we do. So my best guess is that these rock walls are, again, kind of, 19th century constructions. Here's some pictures of them. They're not in great shape either. They're all kind of torn up by pigs and roots and beaten up, but by and large, they look a lot like our historic rock walls. Okay. Yeah, I've got way too much stuff in here. More rock walls.
Oh, sorry.
Do we not have
We just
many longer?
Yeah, we only have 4 members present. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Take a short break, maybe.
I have a hard out at 12:15, so I'm sorry. I didn't know we were going to have an hour-long presentation, so I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm just not going to.
Yeah,
you're good.
No, I'm just letting you guys know, because I didn't realize it was going to go on so long. Thanks.
Oh man, Janet, I like to talk.
Okay,
I have a lot of questions, Ben. Like, where did those rocks come from that they built the 20th century stuff from? They took the Hawaiian sites apart,
Oh, for sure.
It's a water. It's, to me, this is such a, you should fly LiDAR so you can see underneath the trees. I saw that one image you had that looked like it was a LiDAR, not very fine grained, but LiDAR would be very helpful because I know how dense this is. And I saw you present at the Shaw on it. So I just had a lot of questions. I also noticed that some of the walls lined up with those lots. So again, but as a plantation person, I know you are too, you'd expect to see a lot more modern detritus in there, I would think. So I'm just wondering, like, what was there that got taken apart and ripped apart and rebuilt? And so again, this area seems to be the palimpsest, the layers of occupation are very complicated. So I just wanted to weigh in on that. I know you're aware of that. But again, I'm sorry, folks, I do have to jump off at 12:15. So hopefully I just wanted to get those comments in. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Janet. And in fact, I can probably pause here. The only thing I didn't talk about really in any detail was that the top of the pu'u and that
that would be interesting.
Trick station. Yeah. But yeah, if you want me to just real quick show you that, and then I'll shut up and let you guys talk. So here we are. This is the This is the top of the pu'u. This is the trig station. It's not a large rock with an X on it anymore. But in the lower, in the smaller picture in this slide shows that up at the top there's this big sort of depression, and I'm not certain if that's a natural depression at the top of the cinder cone or something else. There are a bunch of rocks up at the top of this thing. And we know that there was, something, at least a large rock on there. but also from this, which is the survey notes from the 1901 survey, saying that the survey station looked like this. It was a stone marked with a plus on top of Old Kupapa'u, and then he called it Kupapa'u Hill Station. And so, talking with like Noah Gomes again, we were sort of bantering around the idea, like maybe there was a grave on top of this, and maybe it's not there anymore, or maybe it's just really difficult to tell, given this.
Those
situation.
rocks had to get there somehow, and unlike
Exactly,
the
yeah.
cone would produce a ring of rocks like that.
No,
I'm
it's not
thinking
going
those
to
are
do it.
manuports.
Yeah, those were definitely brought up there. And so the mystery sort of seems to be like, was there like a burial platform or something built up here? And was it dismantled? Was it taken down? When? By whom? The fact that the church owned all this property creates a big question in my mind too. Like, would those have been brought down? I don't know.
And
We didn't do any.
I want to bring up, because we're doing some stuff on Maui. We're dealing with a site now. It's called Keahua'iwi, which means the pile of bones. But we have over 1,000 mounds. So when you have nicely faced mounds like that don't have ceramics in them, they aren't Asian. They're not really like sugarcane clearing mounds. You want to be really mindful of how to identify those mounds and how you treat them. We see it in Hana. We see lots of nicely faced burial mounds. And I wouldn't be surprised if there might have been a heiau or some kind of something up on the pu'u. But again, the years and years of occupation and LCAs, and this is, a lot of times they didn't have cemeteries, so there's family plots. So it's just something to be very mindful when you have this much activity in this tight of an area. So thank you.
Yep, thank you, Janet. So I think I'm done presenting in the interest of time. So
super interesting. I'm sorry, I just hate that I have to dash off. Sorry.
Don't get me started. Gosh. I mean, this was a thriving neighborhood. And because AHEC was involved in that, there were definitely iwi kupuna there. And maybe they were removed at some point to take away that part of the stewardship of the aina. But I have a concern. I don't know if we're in the discussion mode, but I have one concern that there's several neighborhoods that surrounds this project. And I noticed there's just one in and out that's on Wainuinui. In case of emergencies, is there a plan to open up roads through those other neighborhoods? Because with this emergency, then the hospital is going to be busy and there's just that one road. But my question is there a part of the project, or as you build this escape route, alternate routes through that neighborhood?
Yeah, I can answer that. Go ahead, Neil. Yeah, if you don't. Yeah. So so the main entrance for the project is planned to be Wainuinui Avenue, as you can see that. But also, if you look to the left on the picture, Kilakina Street would connect through there too. So county doesn't want to do any cul-de-sacs anymore, other than the little tiny one in there. But the plan is to have two in and out points, one up Kilakina Street, and then one over to Wainuinui.
Yeah, the other one, it's a thriving neighborhood back in the day for sure. I sit on the board of AHEC, so I'm gonna go find out what the heck we was doing over there. Go Ku'ule. Or Darty. And we get Manao over there. I mean, it's a huge project. It was a long presentation. It was really good, actually. But Punahoa, that means friendly spring.
Yeah.
Just that being said, that they depended a lot on the Vai and all of those sites. And for one reason or the other, it's been decimated. I have a question. So all these sites, are they going to be maintained and protected and restored, and people knowing that they'll be building their homes around burial sites?
Right. Well, so that's a great question. So one thing that we have not confirmed yet is the burial sites. And again, we haven't put a trowel or a shovel into the ground yet. And, as the rules state, if you're going to be investigating archaeologically a potential burial, that's something you got to coordinate with SHPD on. And so we're not far enough along in the process to do that yet. What we've been looking at is ways to do a balance of preservation with the archaeological data recovery, with doing some historical data recovery, and trying to find out as much of the story as we can for the place, and integrate that into the design, into some of the shared public spaces that are going to be on this in this project and this property. So, for example, the Makai part of the project of the property, the Pu'u and down, is not going to get developed, and that's not part of the plan. And that creates an opportunity to have some open space as well as a place to tell the story. And you mentioned the VI, and that was one of the things that my consultation kind of brought out, was that this is a great place to tell the story of VI and its importance. And so what I've been thinking about is we can go all the way through history talking about the VI, from just the natural springs, the couple of springs that we have there that are developed with rocks around them, and then the one that the county stuck the concrete foundation shed on top of, and the ditch coming through. So we can tell a whole story of Mauka to Makai, of how the VI works, and we can work in stories Mo'olelo about it, and it creates this chance to do that kind of interpretation, signs, and in the community center inside of the development as well. Not if this plan were to go through, obviously not every rock mound gets to be saved in it, but we would be trying to strike a balance. That's part of this consultation that we're doing, is to figure out, what is important to help tell that story and keep that heritage going.
Mm-hmm. You had mentioned that it was originally designed to a historical park, or I forget what you had mentioned.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So all right, so I mentioned in the 70s the water system gets switched over to wells, and so they don't need to use the spring anymore. And so now that the county's got 60.5 acres of land, it gets taken out of this water reservation, which at the time it just put limits on what you could do so that you don't pollute the springs. It gets taken out of the water reservation, and at that time there happened to be kind of a trend going around in planning in the United States about wilderness parks.
Wilderness parks.
Yeah. And so there's a bunch proposed on Oahu, on Maui. And here the county says, hey, we've got 60 acres. And the state there was a total of like 112 acres between the state and the county parcel. And they said, well, what can we do with this? I don't know, let's make a wilderness park. And so they paid for a consulting firm to design a wilderness park, and they did the EA, and that's where that first archaeology study was done. Ultimately, it never really happened. The land never went to Parks and Rec. And so that's sort of the story of that. It was an idea that never happened.
Maybe be a good pathway to reestablish that for your plan.
I think it's really important that you test some of those mounds before you go any further with the planning, because the amount of mounds on the parcel, if it is an epidemic or something that, we don't have the history and the oral history, but I'm just wondering why so many mounds, and the concentration, really, I think it's going to be challenging to develop until you can make sure those are just agricultural mounds. And that just seems to be something that would be, because they were kind of all over the parcel. I get it that there's some areas that are much nicer, they're preserved and more contiguous, but I'm just concerned with the distribution of those mounds across the landscape without identifying for sure whether they're burial or not, or ag.
Keep going, Janet. You got 10 minutes.
No, I gotta go. I vote yes. Whatever Des says, Uncle Des, I vote yes.
You get 10 minutes more, Janet.
No, I only get 12.
Shucks.
Hi, guys. This is your corporation counsel, Jean Campbell. Just want to note that when we do lose Janet, we lose quorum on this matter. The meeting itself will be able to go on because Matt will be able to come back. But if the commission does want to take any action or do anything with this project, we do need to wrap that up while we still have Janet.
I have a question. So I'm completely satisfied with this consultation request. I don't know how the rest of the commissioners feel. But you know, we can have a motion to you know, to move that the staff be directed to draft a letter, or move the staff to be directed to prepare letter summarizing the comments made during this. So at this point, I guess I would ask the commissioners if they have any comment. I see Kelo's hand up. Go ahead. Real quick, I just want to preserve the quorum that we have before we, before Janet leaves. She's got
Right. Right. Yeah, I just had a couple of questions. It is a fascinating presentation and such a huge document of work that Ben and others have done. And I guess I share all the comments that Janet and concerns that Janet brought up. But my question was about the swamp area, kind of in the corner, and wondering about your survey of that area and how stable that swamp area is. I noticed it was in many of the all the way through. And I just wonder what plans you might have for kind of looking through some of the materials in that swamp areas, maybe like a core, if it is a stable kind of spot, that might provide other clues in how this space was used and the disturbance history in this area. The other that I had too is just for some of those retaining walls, and just wondering also, like, if perhaps there's some dating that could be done, if there's some materials that can be dated in there. And also thinking to some of Noah Lincoln's work, and perhaps there are some phytoliths or other preserved materials that could tell us something about what was being grown in those areas. And I guess the last one is, like, could you say something about the enclosure that you think the pigs are in? Maybe we don't have time for this for you to answer all these questions, but it was a really, really intriguing and interesting site and presentation. So thanks.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to, if you guys got to do some business before, I don't know if I can informally answer that.
So the other option too is you guys don't need to finish this matter today. You can work on getting some more information from your presenter and then actually kick it down to the next meeting to take action. So that's an option as well.
I'd like to do that as a vice chair. There's a lot of information. This is a huge project.
Yeah, so go ahead and answer.
We need to be given more time to work on this and really review. And maybe just with the current comments we have, the project managers can really, this is a huge project. I mean, there's a lot of working parts. So
yeah, if you'd like to have him answer Commissioner Kinney's questions, we can go ahead if you'd like.
Okay. Swamp area, not in our project area, not planning to do that. It's actually, this map's not great. It's not exactly on the boundary. So the building and the construction would not happen in these swampy areas. And that's part of what the geotech studies and everything else going on would help refine. But the plan right now is there's solid ground that would be built on. What else? Retaining walls, dating information. Yeah, again, like I said, we've only just done surface survey on here. So there's, the farthest back that the surface evidence gives us is the 19th century, but we know it's older than that. And then you mentioned Noah Lincoln's work, phytoliths. I'd also look for like starch grains in the ground too, to see, maybe there's collo in there potentially. So that's definitely an analysis that I think we would wind up, wanting to do, either in this identification phase or if it went to data recovery. Again, telling more of that story, right? Like right now I've got crops on the ground and some sugar, but what else is being grown up there? It'd be nice to know. And then the last thing, the pig enclosure. Yeah, it's funny. It's the only big thing like that on the property, and it's clear and flat on the inside. It's got trees growing up in there, and that would be another intriguing place to maybe excavate as an archaeologist. Just looking at me like, what?
How much is this going to cost?
How much is it going to cost? So yeah, why is it there? Why is it there? It's kind of like in the middle of this agriculture area, and it's the only one. So why? I don't know. It's another sort of mystery in there. So great question. I share it too.
I'm just wondering too, because of the given the sacred nature of springs and association with the mo'o and all this stuff, I'm just wondering if this, because oftentimes you can't separate sacred out from agricultural. It's all intertwined in there. So I thought that was a really interesting question that Kealoha posed on that. And also look for Ely stones, things that are transported there that are smooth, because sometimes when you go down a little bit under the leaves, you'll see something that might be indicative of some type of site. Thank you. I know you know this. I'm just saying it out loud.
Kule, you have manao kule.
Yeah, mahalo anui. Thanks. It was a great presentation, lots of information, good workings. There's definitely a lot of thoughts and a lot of questions, so I think it is a good idea to cover it if we can bring it back to the next meeting so that there may be more ample time perhaps. But of course, my mind is going to all of the place names, and the stories are found right there. It is very indicative of the vai, which then of course is going to lead you to the gods of water, which are the mo'o wahine. They are akua vai. Yes, just look at that. Wai anuene, wai luku. I mean, apunaho. These are all indicative. So the stories lay right in the names, and that again, direct association with the swamps, the bogs, these punavai that would have the guardians and the akua of mo'o. But I think too, on coming from that very deep-seated traditional context to maybe the systems that we have in place, I'm looking at seaworm and those functionings of water department, the water kuleana, who does, right, seaworm in essence, pretty much looking at those protections and intentions to protect the vai. And this is again not far-fetched that this would have been, or initially thought to have been put in a reservation as to not pollute. I mean, what great intention is that? That's fabulous. Did that go away? I would plead the case that would still be an intention today, as to not pollute any punavai, any place that in this context so vai and momona of vai. Anyway, I have a list, so I just wanted to put out those things and say maybe we carry over.
I'm going to say goodbye.
Wait, before we do that, yes, no, we do.
Okay,
so
sorry.
It sounds like my recommendation is, it sounds like you need some more time on this.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to vote to continue this matter to your next meeting, that would let you do that. And in the meantime, any of you could send questions directly to the staff, who can then pass them on so that we can come back prepared with hopefully some answers for you. So my recommendation is, if somebody wants to make a motion to continue, and you vote on that.
Move that we continue.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion by Darty and second by Kini. I want to put on a record that when we do reconvene this, I want Kule to come back. Because I need her to share her manao on this too. She heard a great portion of this presentation.
Yep.
But all those in favor to move this to our next meeting, say aye.
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 And then mahalo. Okay, Janet, you are now released.
Aye. Thank you guys for putting up with me. Bye.
Do we need her to close the meeting?
No, Matt's coming back.
Matt will jump, we'll
Oh, yeah,
we'll
yeah, yeah, yeah.
recess for a quick minute while we'll have Matt jump back in, and
Oh,
then
yeah,
you'll
yeah.
have quorum once again.
Aloha, mahalo. Thanks, Ben. It was a great presentation. Mahalo. Bye, guys.
Happy holidays.
Just a side note, I can stay, but I just need to get on really quick because I'm on air live today. So I need to do a couple things. I need like 2 minutes and I'll be right back, if that's okay with you guys.
Oh, yeah, you're at work. So let's
Thank you.
recess for a couple minutes. It's 12:40. We come back at 12:16. How's that?
Sounds good to me.
Unless Matt, you're back on. Des has left the building. So let's recess for a couple minutes. It's 12:40. Oh, we want to listen, buddy.
I'm back. 12:16 or 2-minute recess, and we'll come back. I think we have only a couple more things to accomplish.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Uncle Des, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, and staff, are we good to resume?
Yes, we're good.
I'm good till 1 o'clock.
Okay, hopefully it shouldn't take that long. All we have left are administrative matters right now. And the first is the approval of minutes from November 12th, 2025. And staff, are we good to resume?
Yes, we're good.
I'm good till 1 o'clock.
It shouldn't take that long. Okay, sorry, I'm getting,
All we have left are administrative.
everything's repeating back to me now.
First is the approval of minutes from November 12th.
Yes.
2025. And staff, are we good to resume?
Is anyone else getting this?
Yes, we're good. We are sorry. I think
Matt,
we're
are you
having
still
problems.
connected to YouTube?
It's probably because we're hungry. Coolly, stop eating.
Gotta love technology.
Shucks. Yeah, that was an interesting presentation, man. There was a lot of stuff, man. Oof. So many unanswered questions. I mean, what the heck?
That's a big cluster of stuff happening right in there that they found.
You know what?
Sorry, I don't see that I am, but
What comes to me is a kuahu or heao up there.
does it
I
seem?
think we're good now.
Okay,
So many unanswered questions.
okay.
That's a big cluster of stuff happening right
Okay, maybe not. Someone,
Sorry, I don't see that I am, but
I don't know where that's coming from. Check, is his computer muted?
Come on, Beth. Keep that staff in order. Shucks. Yeah, some kind of kuahu or the hell.
it might have been me. I think I was connected. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I apologize.
It had to be you.
Okay, I think we're good to go. So we're on to approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the Cultural Resource Commission meeting held on November 12th, 2025?
I move to accept the minutes of
Can I have a second?
Second.
12.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hamea and seconded by Commissioner Kealani, I believe. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, minutes are approved as stated or amended.
Nay, I don't want to call
Okay,
it.
and I believe it's not in my script, but we're supposed to elect our chair and vice chair for the coming year.
Well, it's not on the agenda, so I object to that.
Oh, it is on the agenda.
It is on the agenda. Sorry.
Nice try, Uncle Des.
I nominate Kule.
Oh, I does that work if she becomes chair? Can she stay on for the next year?
No, unfortunately, that does not work. Nice try though to try and wrangle her back in. I like that.
Where's Janet?
Yeah, so I recall from last year, you can nominate folks who are not here at the meeting, but they do not have to accept if they are elected. And yeah, it's open for discussion. Would anyone like to make a nomination?
The other thing we can do, Matt, is to get in place a temporary chair, vice chair for January if you guys want to continue that into the January agenda.
Okay.
We just need folks in place to handle the, administrative matters in between there, but that's another option if you don't feel comfortable today making those decisions.
Okay.
Can I move that we keep the same two in place till next meeting? Is that possible?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, we have a second. So the motion is to keep me as chair and Uncle Des as vice chair through the January meeting.
You gotta be Leo.
Any discussion?
Who seconded that? Desmond?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, no discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 I have a question for staff.
Yes.
So this Anna Ko is gonna come back
Yes,
the next meeting.
we can ask for them to come back January. That kind of depends on, if you guys think you can get your questions into us and we can get them sent to them. So it's kind of a timely thing. The sooner you can get your thoughts and questions gathered and sent to us, then we can get them to them so that they can do the research. But he said he was available.
We had a whole bunch of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of dependent on your folks' availability to summarize your questions and get them to staff.
And staff, I know we're losing a couple members, Kule being one.
Yeah, so that I just wanted to mahalo nui loa Ku'ule for your time served with the commission, and also mahalo nui loa for staying on as a holdover to help us. And hopefully you're getting some recruits, doing some work out there on the ground to get recruits. Also, Commissioner Nicole Louie also is terming out at the end of this year. And she has not responded about holding over. So I'm guessing she's not going to. But we have certificates of appreciation for you, Ku'ule, that we'll be sending out in the mail to you.
Does the certification come with a gift card to some Teshima she live or
That's up to you, Uncle Des.
I can do a motion for that. Why have that?
Mahalo anui. It has been a pleasure of great learning, but certainly a pleasure to serve and sit amongst you wonderful people, great staff. It has been great for me. Mahalo anui.
Mahalo, we're really going to miss you, and thank you for agreeing to stay on for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
There was one other thing we discussed at the meeting we have that Des and I have with the staff is there any interest in having an in-person meeting in January, or maybe we should put that off until we elect the new chair and vice chair?
I don't mind meeting.
Don't
Maybe,
matter to me.
yeah,
Either way.
either way.
I can give you guys food if you meet in person.
Somebody mentioned food.
Yeah, we can make sure you have food.
We don't need to make a motion to do that because it's always available in person,
No.
right? So I guess we can invite everyone to show up in person at the next meeting. I guess you guys are in Hilo right now.
Yes.
And if anyone would like to show up, we can let the staff know ahead of time and we can have food.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't mind sharing a meal with Nicole and especially with Kole. Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay. I think
how-
staff will follow up to get attendance on that. And,
Okay, we
still
can do
attend.
that sooner than later, just to, kind of remind folks of our needs for food kind.
Okay.
So
So,
yeah.
so I move we get food from Kawamoto store. Mac salad. 25 shrimp
Look, we're
tempura.
all hungry right now, that's why. Stop
I-
talking about food.
Okay. And Uncle Des will be in charge of the menu for that meeting. Okay, I think that brings us. The next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. Staff, are there any additional announcements?
I don't have any announcements. Yeah, no.
announcements.
Thank you.
Okay, this concludes the items on the agenda. Can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Before we adjourn, I want to ask Kole to close us in Pole.
Oh, Hiki no. Mahalo anui e ho'omalu no ho'i no keia pule ho'oku'u. Ia oe ke akua e maliu mai ia mako keia Cultural Resource Commission me na kanaka kāko'o. He leo mahalo piha no ho'i me ka mahalo no keia mau kānaka I ako malalo o keia ke aupuni ma keia commission. No ka holopono ano o ka mālama mau o ko mako wahipana na ano wahipana like ole mai ke keha o na mauna a hiki aku I ke kai hohonu o keia Hawaiʻi pai aina. Ua piha no ho'i ko una au. E noho ma keia ano papa. Maliu mai e no ko'u pule no ka mau ana o ka maliu mai o keia commission e holomua me ka pono o ko kako aina aloha nui. Ai he no ko'u wahi pule I no me ke aloha me ka mahalo no ho'i. Ma maua no a lele no ho'i keia pule mahalo. Mahalo, mahalo.
Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo.
Mahalo pule.
I move to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned at 12:31 p.m. Aloha.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
I love you, Kule.
Love you guys. Ahui ho.